All right. Welcome back to another episode of Fantasy Football G, ladies and gentlemen. Match day one is almost over and it has had some surprising results. So, we're going to take a good look at the teams that have played already, the games, and some of the players as well. Looking ahead at match day two, seeing who are the assets that we should bring in, as well as talking on the topic of the captaincy, whether or not you should stick with the captain that you've already picked for the day, or you should actually move on, sort of kind of discussing what's the best baseline of points. So, without further ado, let's get into it. Now, as of the time of recording, I am Belgium is actually playing, and as I mentioned, it's also honestly surprising starts for a lot of teams. They're currently drawing, not drawing, sorry, they're losing 1-0 right now. So it's honestly made you sort of reconsider. But I thought, let me just put that out there so that you know that there are the teams that the games that I am gonna review, and some that I'm more gonna try and predict, basically, so that we sort of can still get a baseline as to which players we should be targeting. So this is currently my team right now that I have, and the guys that are playing. And then we're just going to take a good look at the games that are currently that have gone on right now. So let's just switch the screen here. And the first game, of course, is Germany and Scotland. I think, guys, so just a bit of background for me. I'm a very technical person, and so I love the strategic side of the game when it comes to the tactics of the game, information, how people play. So my analysis, honestly, is going to be coming mainly from that side. And if there's anything I picked up from Germany, is that they're attacking on all fronts, and that I'm talking about from both sides of the field or the pitch and going in through the center. And I think you found that with the goals and the goal scorers, really, Kai Havertz, Musiala, and Florian Wirtz. So in terms of assets here, we should be honestly targeting Germany. They've got good assets. They're at home, and I think with the amount of goals that are being scored in this tournament, I feel like the attacking assets are way better than going for the defensive assets. So if yeah, Germany in the next fixture, I believe, is playing. Can't remember off my head. Oh, they're playing Hungary, which had they didn't have such a good game, but I myself would lean more towards the Germany attacking players. So I think Kai Havertz, Wirtz, and Musiala are players to really target. On the Scotland side, I think that's a team that did have a bad performance. Definitely got. Sorry, I just wanna. Sorry about that. We just put it disconnecting. I hope that's all right. I myself had Dominic Soboslai in the game, and he didn't perform as well as I hoped he would, but he is still a great asset to have because he is on all set pieces, including penalties as well. And he didn't seem to be very involved in the game, but Switzerland, I think, came unexpectedly with the way they played. They were able to actually really hold possession. So I think one on one against Scotland, I think they're going to win that game. And so I see them in second here. So I think if you're looking for some cheap assets there, you can definitely go in for their assets. I think Jan Sommer is going to be a great asset playing Scotland. Playing Scotland next, I think um, their defense as well is pretty good with having a Kanji there as well. So I think if you're looking for more defensive assets for this match day too, I think you can definitely look into Switzerland because they're playing Scotland there. Um, I don't, and because they're able to hold ball possession in this tournament, I think that Spain is going to be our go-to along with England, actually, which we'll get to later. But Spain's ability to hold the ball and maintain the ball and composure with the ball as well, and not really have a lot of mistakes. Also having good players from back to front. I think having a not pressure. I mean, it's not really. They've got some great players. In fact, a great midfielder, but not really an attack. But Spain, honestly, I think they're the best defensive team that we can go for. So I think in terms of Spain, look to have more of their defensive assets so that you can acquire clean sheets. Um, because you can get more defensive assets from other teams like France, like England, like Germany, like Portugal as well, like Belgium as well. So I feel they're more, if you're aiming to look for good clean sheets, assets that have clean sheets, go for Spain. On Croatia's side, I think you can definitely go for Guardiola. Everyone's going for Guardiola. He had a good game himself. He did have a shot as well. So I think he's an asset that you can definitely go in with the next game because they are going to be playing Albania, who played Italy, which brings me to my next game there. I think don't waste your time with Croatian midfielders. They're not necessarily all out attacking. I think for Croatia, rather go for Guardiola. That's another defensive asset you can go with there. But in terms of top first and second finish in that group, I'm actually looking at Spain um, being top with Italy second and maybe Croatia going third as well. Now, Italy and Albania, yeah, over here, uh, I mean, I also had Italy very much the same in expectations as Spain because they also know how to really hold the ball really well. And basically, quite frankly, like Pep said, ball position is also part of defense because if the opposition doesn't have the ball, then they can't score. And DeMarco had that throw in, and it just didn't go well for him. I think here another defensive asset. Honestly, DeMarco is the one to go for. He's highly involved on set pieces as well in terms of um, corners, and Italy have some good centre backs out there. Bastoni had a good header. In terms of attacking assets, I mean, we all were thinking of Federico Chiesa, and he wasn't necessarily heavily involved, in my opinion. I think Pellegrini was really well involved. He got the assist there. He's somebody if you're looking more down the center in terms of the fronts that they attack on. They're mainly wide, and then they work their way in from a cross or a cutback, so they don't necessarily go through down the middle. They build their way around because of the way they play the ball, because of the way they play football with ball position as well. So I think if you're looking for um, attacking assets, I would go with Pellegrini because he would be on that cutback to finish it off. And I wouldn't necessarily go for Chiesa if you're looking for a goal scoring. Skamaka was heavily involved, but I think there's just so many assets in the front there that you're not willing to sacrifice a spot for Skamaka. And Italy's playing Spain, so match day two, I think just stay away from Italy assets. I think you can take a chance with DeMarco, but Spain's gonna score. So from that front, I would stay away just for match day two. Poland and Netherlands. This was a very surprising game for me because I highly expected Netherlands to really walk over Poland. And no disrespect to Poland, Poland is a very great side over tournaments. They've definitely showed that. But not having Lewandowski and conceding, Netherlands having one of the most formidable names in defense in this tournament. So that for me was a real disappointment because I also had Verbruggen, who did get some saves, and that's really good to know that he can actually rack up them saves and is good in the goalpost. So he got me 4 points. I would stick with that. But going into match day two, I myself would, yeah, I wouldn't have any Netherlands assets because they're going up against France. So I would stay away from that. But in terms of the defensive assets, I think we have to mention Nathan Ake. I mean, uh, Dumfries was definitely up there, way higher than Nathan Ake. But I think Nathan Ake's balls were just pinpoint, pinnacle, and clutch, and needed in their utmost time. And when they were received, they were dealt with very clinically as well. So I think we shouldn't just be looking through the right hand side. I think as well because we're unsure of Dumfries with Frimpong. I think Nathan Ake is actually another asset which is opened up for us to actually look at here. But that would be for match day three. So that's defensively. Attacking wise, I had Depay, a disappointment really, along with Javi Simons. Gakpo was highly involved there on the left, and in all honesty, they were attacking on all fronts. Well, mainly on the wings, but Gakpo was highly involved in there. And honestly, that could change because, like I said, they were attacking on both sides, with Dumfries running on that other side as well, with Simons. But Simons was really coming in central. So I do like Simons because of the way he was moving on the field. I think he can be involved in a lot of goals there, along with Depine, which is why I picked them. So I think they're great assets still going forth into the third game. But I really did expect more goals from them. In terms of Poland's side, honestly, I think I don't have much to say from them, but I do look at them as a formidable defense, considering they were able to really hold Netherlands back. So Chesney is a guy to definitely look at, and it might sound like I'm an Arsenal favorite, although I am an Arsenal fan. Kivio is also another guy that you can look at there. I wouldn't look at the attacking assets necessarily, maybe until Lewandowski comes back. So that's my review from the guys over there. Slovenia versus Denmark. I think this is one of the surprising ones, as we expected Denmark to actually not necessarily walk over, but to certainly win this game. And I think Slovenia has proven that they are a force to be reckoned with here. So I think definitely going into this, Ericsson is an asset that we can be looking at. He is highly involved, of course. Yeah, I think this game was honestly 50-50. Anybody could have won it the way they were performing. So I would, in terms of teamings and targeting who to target in terms of playing against or the players to get, I would still stay away from Slovenia and Denmark. I think this game hardly told us anything but the fact that they're not an easy match. Saying that, I think let me quickly tie it in with the Serbia and England, because I think England will win against Denmark definitely, but I don't think it will be as clear cut as we also thought it would be when they went up against Serbia as well. England's game is very passive, and they trying to really control the game more, and so there's not a lot of players making those runs in behind. Saka staying wide, and so Foden's also cutting in when he is, but they're not necessarily making deep penetrating runs. Neither is Kane as well. They're trying to work the ball up into the field and then just creating chances from there. So you never have players running, hardly have players running in behind there, and I think that's why Jude Bellingham got his goal necessarily coming from deep. So I think in terms of this game, Jude Bellingham is definitely an asset to go with. But looking at Serbia playing against Slovenia, Mitrovic and Vlahovic were not necessarily on form. Tadic is another guy. My point here is I think with Serbia, just stick to the attacking assets here. Slovenia is definitely also not going to be any walkover, but you can hope for a high scoring game over there. So yeah, I think those are the players to attack there. In terms of England, it's all round, honestly, all round. Jude Bellingham, one is a must have if you're going to go with an England asset. I think that Trent Alexander Arnold is also a must have, considering that he was substituted off after the 60-minute mark. So you got your 6 points, and you weren't worried about whether or not he was going to be taken off first, but he's also putting himself in opportunities where he can be in an assist or part of that cutback as well. And he was also on a set piece as well. So he's definitely an asset to have. And then it's really your pick, to go with, because it's also tough to go ahead with Kane. And people say he had a bad game, but as I mentioned, he's not really making those runs in deep. He should have been at the end of a couple of those cutback crosses, and but he wasn't. So, in my opinion, I think it's definitely Jude. It's definitely Trent, and then the next pick is yours. Phil Foden's highly involved. I just think he hasn't made really contribution to goals. You can go with Saka. He did have a good game himself. And then, um, yeah, another surprising one. Really, a lot of people expecting Romania to lose this game, but Ukraine came through. So I honestly did think that Romania was going to have a very good defense. I never thought that they had an attacking output, but you can see it was really a team effort there. Their defense, I think, is really very formidable in the sense of the entire team tracks back and gets behind the ball, and then they work their way up the field. And really, with this game, they had a counter-attacking approach, and if they did have to press, they did more of a counter press where as soon as they won the ball, they were about scoring. So Ukraine, they're not really grasping control, but do I think that means that Ukraine is going to be lost in the group? I don't think so. Um, I think Ukraine can still come back in here. They definitely have the players to do that. In terms of whether or not you should be targeting any of the players from these sides, I don't think so. I think there's too many other players really to be considering in all positions. So this is just a nice match just to have in the background, really of knowledge. And then this game here right now, in all honesty, it's half time. I do think Belgium is going to come back. Slovakia, I haven't watched the full half, but they definitely seem to be yeah, they seem to be holding their own. The goal that they scored was a mistake from Belgium, so um, mistakes will happen, but it's whether or not Belgium is really going to respond with the firepower they have. I think they honestly will. It's just a matter of putting things together. So yeah, we'll see. France later, I think there's not much to say there, but Austria is also not one to just counter pressing team. They press a lot, and I think they're not going to give France a chance to necessarily rest on that ball. And I think the very same way as Slovakia did, if France makes a mistake, Austria um, I think Austria will pounce on that. So in terms of assets there, I think just stick to France, but watch Austria in the case of seeing whether or not you can actually get some assets there for match day two. Um, yeah, and then Georgia, Turkey. I think Turkey will come out on this one, and in all honesty, yeah, I don't see Georgia really coming out of this one. No disrespect to them. They do have one or two players out there, but I think Turkey's has the experience really in this tournament on an international stage as well. And then Portugal's Portugal. We all know what we expect with that game. So we expect Portugal to win, but not necessarily if there's anything we've learned, it is that no team is a pushover here. So yeah, guys, that's 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 my review really from that's my review from the games that we've witnessed. What I'm gonna do tomorrow is I'm gonna